我今年呀40出头，至今单身。就在前段时间，
I'm in my 40s and still single. Recently I got sick and had to stay in the hospital. During that time, a woman around my age was also in the same room. Her husband took care of her very attentively. It moved me deeply and made me reconsider my plan to live alone for the rest of my life. So, I decided to find someone suitable to share the rest of my life with. However, when I shared my criteria for a partner with a matchmaker, they went silent for a moment, said nothing, and simply turned around and walked away. I honestly didn't know what to say. What does that mean? I've thought about it a lot, but I still don't understand. Today I've decided to open up and discuss my criteria with friends. Please give me your advice. And tell me if I'm being unreasonable. Where am I wrong? I'm in my 40s, and for various reasons, I've never chosen to get married. I've become what people often call an older single woman. I'm a department manager at a large company with a stable job, a good income, and I own a house and a car. Honestly, my criteria for a partner are not that high. I'm looking for a man around my age, or I'm open to considering someone under 50. He should be mature, stable, and have a steady income. He must be at least 175 centimeters tall, ideally around 180 centimeters. He should have a calm temperament, no anger issues, and be responsible, caring, and decent. He must not have bad habits. He should have solid values, and at least a decent appearance, enough to look respectable. I care about appearances, so he must make me proud in front of family and friends and elevate my social standing. That's non-negotiable. The second criterion concerns the bride price. Since we're both adults, I prefer to be direct about it. I stated that I require the man to prepare 880,000 yuan as a bride price. I see it as a form of financial security because in marriage, women often sacrifice more than men. Asking for a bride price is tradition, and also a form of acknowledgement from the man. If he can't meet this requirement, to me it means he doesn't truly value or respect me. A man who is unwilling to spend money on a woman is not a good man. Moreover, as people say, where the money goes, the heart follows. If he's not willing to pay, it means he lacks sincerity. The man must have a fixed monthly income of at least 30,000 yuan, and he must hand over all his earnings for me to manage. Out of the 30,000 yuan, I should have 10,000 for my personal expenses, like skincare, handbags, clothing, daily needs, or snacks. Another 10,000 will go toward household expenses, and the remaining 10,000 will be saved for retirement or emergencies. He can be someone who's never been married, widowed, or divorced. That's fine, but I will not accept a man who lives with his children. If he has kids, they cannot live with us. Occasional visits are fine, but any expenses for the child must go through me. However, one condition is non-negotiable. If the child is a son, I will not accept it. Only daughters may be considered. The man must own both a car and a house. The car must be worth at least 600,000 yuan, and the house must be located in a good school district. After marriage, both the car and the house must be registered in my name. This is my basic requirement for security. These are my personal criteria for choosing a life partner. I believe my conditions are quite reasonable, and my expectations are neither high nor excessive. They are practical and fair. My goal is to build a happy future for both of us. There is no room for negotiation. I believe my expectations are completely justified. However, when I presented these criteria, the matchmaker just smiled quietly and said nothing. Their reaction left me confused. Eventually, they told me I should consider lowering my standards and promised to help me find someone else. But their initial confidence seemed to have vanished. I still don't understand why I need to lower my standards. Is it that there are no high-quality men left, or are my demands truly too much? I'm genuinely sincere and believe that my expectations are fair. I want everyone to consider, am I the problem, or is the market lacking good men? What is happening to the world today? A 35-year-old single woman in China set extremely high standards for her future partner. My requirements for a husband are very simple, she said. He should already own a house, fully paid, no mortgage. Ideally, he should be a native of Shanghai, have experience living abroad, hold a managerial position in a company, and most importantly, have a good temperament. Someone like actor Daniel Wu, he's my ideal type. However, at a massive matchmaking event with thousands of participants, no one paid attention to her. The stark contrast between her ideals and reality left her feeling isolated. She said, "People are saying I'm the oldest woman here. I don't want to keep doing this anymore." Wang Jia, 35 years old, is a senior executive at a major company, born and raised in Shanghai. She has always lived a luxurious lifestyle, and thanks to her attractive appearance, she stood out in her 20s. However, her high standards have kept her from finding a compatible partner. Only now is she beginning to feel the weight of loneliness. Whenever she has free time, she attends matchmaking events in Shanghai. But to her, none of the potential matches ever meet her criteria. It is precisely her rigid and high expectations that have left her alone for so long, and even though she realizes her mistake, she still refuses to lower her standards, even in the face of criticism from matchmakers. One of them told her, "What exactly do you offer in return? What makes you special? What can you provide to a man? Besides the fact that you're a woman, aren't there already plenty of women out there?" But Wang Jia, 35, didn't hear any of that. Seeing her attitude, the matchmaker could only introduce her to a wealthy and handsome man for a date. To Wang Jia, this man was undoubtedly the ideal partner for marriage, but for him, she held no value. The man said bluntly, "To be honest, I don't even want to look at her." Hearing that, she broke down and cried like a young girl. But reality is harsh. If you demand high standards from others, you must also ask yourself whether you meet those standards. In China, there are many older single women like Wang Jia. They often focus solely on a man's social, financial, and professional status, while failing to clearly recognize their own shortcomings. Their standards in choosing a partner are often unrealistically high.
资格看不上我啊，你条件也不如我，长得也不是很好。
Next, let's take a look at some exaggerated demands from other older single women. Woman, so what? You look down on me. You don't even have better qualifications than I do, and honestly, you're not that good-looking either. What makes you think you have the right to look down on me? Answer me. Man, all right, I admit dash. My conditions aren't as good as yours, I don't have as much wealth either. But I prefer 18-year-old girls. Don't blame me. My grandfather is over 80, and he still likes 18-year-olds. My dad is over 50 and also likes 18-year-olds. And I'm around 30, so of course I like 18-year-olds even more. Woman, you're saying I'm already 38. So what? You knew my age before coming to this date, and you still showed up. You should at least respect me. If you like 18-year-olds, then go find them. Why did you even bother meeting me? Man, before I came here I didn't think much, but after meeting you, I was honestly shocked by how high your standards are. Woman, let me tell you something. This is an era where there are more men than women. You say my standards are high, but your desire for an 18-year-old is even more unrealistic than my expectations. If I wanted to date an 18-year-old guy, even if he wouldn't marry me, at least he'd be willing to talk to me. Man, let's say you could talk to an 18-year-old guy. Do you really think you could become his girlfriend? Man continues, I know you're 38, and I came here sincerely for a real date, not to talk about dreams. But the moment you sat down, you started listing out dreams like a house that's fully paid off, a car, and several million in savings. Do you really think your expectations are realistic? Woman, why wouldn't they be realistic? Those are very normal requirements for a man. Man, forget it. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
我跟大家讲一个很残酷的现实和真相，同学们。实际上，我们其实在
Let's talk about something real. When it comes to resource distribution today, there's a concept called mismatch. From the moment our children are born, we as parents, especially fathers, want to protect them. We don't want our daughters to experience anything harsh or unpleasant in the outside world. As a result, many modern women grow up with unrealistic illusions about love and relationships. They develop a princess syndrome, believing that the world of love is all beautiful and magical. I believe 99.99% of women are like this. No matter how beautiful you are or how strong your family background is, you will face obstacles. I don't usually talk about this because the way we approach it is flawed. Do you know why? Because there simply aren't enough high-quality men to go around. Let's say there are 300 million women and 400 million men in the population. There might be 100 million more men, but there still aren't enough high-quality men. Yes, the gender ratio seems to favor women, but look at cities like Shenzhen. Most of the singles? Women. What does that mean? The rich men have too many options. These men, who fought their way to the top, have survived intense competition. If they weren't ruthless, they wouldn't have succeeded. Unless they were born rich, which we're not talking about today, successful self-made men rarely act based on emotion. If they were too emotional, they'd have been eliminated long ago. When a man becomes wealthy, everyone becomes a potential competitor or threat, rivals, colleagues, even friends. If he's too sensitive, he'll get exploited. You have to understand, in high society, time is the most precious resource. Emotions have no value. Let me explain. If these men don't make cold, rational decisions to run their businesses efficiently, their effectiveness plummets. If someone can't perform, they get replaced. Sensitivity hurts companies. Business exists to generate profit. Many people chase these powerful men, hoping to build relationships. But unless you're a top graduate, a startup veteran, or someone with major achievements, they won't even notice you. Even if they give you a chance, it's just a test. If you succeed, you'll go far. If you don't have skills, you won't get close to them. And honestly, for most people, succeeding by attaching to a powerful man is nearly impossible. Why? Because there aren't enough of them. These men don't value emotion. So girls, lower your expectations. Stop dreaming of a perfect prince charming. Even second-generation rich guys marry women with clout, either influencers, equals in wealth, or famous women who've worked hard for their image. What do you bring to the table? If you have a mediocre job, stop fantasizing about a rich prince. Focus on being realistic. The biggest issue for many women is dreaming about a man who's tall, rich, and handsome. But reality? Most men are short, poor, and average. So lower your expectations. If you want someone good, look for sincerity and solid character. Some men might deceive you and drain everything you've built. That's a bad man. But if someone doesn't cheat, doesn't lie, and is willing to provide for a family, that deserves respect. That's already better than someone who never comes home or refuses to contribute. Know this: in this current landscape, even talented women are single because they look down on average men. And average women, they dream of talented men. But those talented men, they have no time for love. They only have money to offer. This creates a vicious cycle. People with resources and people chasing resources can't build meaningful relationships. This leads to a culture of transactional love. In the end, the only marriages that survive are those where one partner tolerates infidelity or hardship and doesn't walk away. If everyone left at the first sign of trouble, divorce rates would skyrocket to 90%. Why? Because there aren't enough resources to go around. So ask yourself, should we lower our expectations and work on ourselves instead? Only then can you see life from a different lens. Don't expect life to play out like a romance novel. It won't. The more developed a place becomes, the more options people have, and the harder it is to maintain relationships. Bottom line, you can't have it all: comfort, wealth, love, and fantasy. This is the truth of human nature and modern relationships. Do you understand? Do you know what kind of men women over 35 in China usually end up marrying? These women refuse to marry men with poor conditions. They say, "I've waited this long. Why would I settle for someone who has no money, no looks, and nothing to offer? I'd rather stay single." So what about older men who already have a house, a car, a stable career, and a high income? Yes, they may be worth marrying, but here's the catch. They usually don't choose women over 35. Generally, if a man is well off and still unmarried at 30, there are two possibilities. He doesn't want to get married. He only wants to marry a young, attractive woman. Men with good conditions are often experienced. They understand women's value, which is exactly why they avoid older women. So what's left for women over 35? Some of them try to date younger men. But let's be honest, those older woman, younger man relationships mostly exist in dramas. In real life, it's rare for a woman in her mid to late 30s to marry a man in his 20s. Sure, some young men can be sweet, but they can also be ruthless. Dating them might be fine because they have nothing to lose. But once a woman talks about marriage and responsibility, that's when they run, faster than a rabbit. Some might even spend your money before disappearing. In reality, most women over 35 end up marrying older men. Some who are divorced, some with children, and some simply remain alone. Looking ahead, the number of older single women in China is only going to grow. The more developed the city, the more single women it has. Why is that? Many older women remain single not because they lack options, but because they carry deep insecurities and are constantly chasing the best, often ignoring their own shortcomings. As the saying goes, no one is perfect. It's incredibly difficult to find someone who is loyal and wants a real bond. In a sea of people, the more filters you apply, the harder it gets. Like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Yes, prioritizing quality over quantity is important. But you also need to know when to stop. Everyone wants an ideal partner. That's understandable. But in reality, every person has both strengths and weaknesses. There is no such thing as a perfect match. Instead of obsessing over ideal standards, why not focus on the good in others and see if you can truly be happy together? At the end of the day, the essence of a relationship is mutual understanding and acceptance, not checking boxes on a list. If you're always picky, always raising the bar, you might just overlook the people who are truly right for you. So, what would you say to older single women in China? Leave your thoughts in the comments and join the discussion. That's all for today's video. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.